Thank you, everyone, for being here for our celebration. Joelle and I are extremely excited by the fact that we have finally arrived at this location together, which is our own platform that you who are here today helped to create. So it was our combined efforts that brought us to this point, and we are, genuinely excited and thankful for being able to be here with you. Um, so, Joelle, how do you feel right now after this
This
journey?
is this is a long time coming. I don't know. Maybe you want to share the amount of work and effort and time that it's taken to get here. Because it was not an easy road, that's for sure.
No, actually, an interesting story is that on June 14th, I believe it was actually an eclipse. We had a discussion as a team that we were about to launch our new membership platform on Kajabi. Some of you out
Yeah,
here have heard about Kajabi. It's a membership platform, and we'd spent 6 months, I think, working on it.
yeah.
And we met the founder of this platform, basically, which helped us create Be Sovereign, and we just realized we couldn't not but reinvest the time and energy into creating this. So it was a number of attempts and false starts, and of course the pressure of what was happening out there with attempts to censor pretty much anyone with a voice that was opposed to the conventional narrative. It became a matter of necessity. So we would love for the people that are on the stream to just say hi, like make a comment. Keep in mind that this is just the beginning of the functionality that you're going to see roll out. GMI Connect is all about connecting. And as you can see, this is a live based platform, and the functionality that is already in the works will enable you also to connect with one another in a similar fashion. So it's just the tip of the iceberg, and some of what we intend to do with this launch party. I have my cup of raw cacao with honey and what is it? Almond milk. We're also going to be sharing a lot about what we do to keep healthy, to keep motivated, to keep sane in this day and age, right, Joel?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to share, if you don't mind, how you and I met and how we got to this point, right? And so, just for people out there who don't know, I'm Canadian. I live now in Florida, and when I moved
Honk honk.
here, what does that mean?
I guess it means freedom or liberation
Oh, is this
from
the
the
Canadian?
trucker convoy. Remember?
Okay, yeah, there you go. The truckers did make some headway. That was good. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So 11 years ago, I moved here from Canada. And on my way home from work, there was only, of course, I'm a health nut and a natural healthcare activist. I'm a chiropractor, and I've lived this my whole life. So I was looking for like a health food store and like a place to eat and stuff like that. And back then, it was hard to find good places where we lived to eat. But luckily, on my way home, there was a health food store that was there, and they also had a little cafe. And at the time, that's where Sayer was running it. And so I just bumped into him, and we started chatting. And then I kept going back, obviously, because it was the one place that I could eat on the way back and forth. And I realized very quickly, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's a white walking encyclopedia. He knows more about biochemistry than really most of the doctors that I know, whether medical doctor or a chiropractor. He knows more about the body, about healthcare, about natural healthcare than almost anybody I knew. And so, of course, I was super intrigued, and we were talking. And then he was telling me he was developing this site called Green Med Info, and I was encouraging him 100% to do it, because I'm sitting there working with people every day, like he was, differently, but like you were using people and stuff when they come in and say, "Hey, what should I take for this? I got this going on." But we didn't really have back then a resource that we can go to and say, well, here's where the science is, and this is what the science says. So regardless of what your big pharma doctor is telling you, big pharma trained doctor, I should say, is telling you, here's what science says, and you can do this, and it's totally safe and it's effective, and here you go, you could read it. So his site provided this kind of like confirmation and affirmation for my patients, for all of my colleagues and friends and their patients. And so it was amazing to see it go from, like, I want to say barely a website when it started to where it is, where it has, what it has grown into, which is truthfully like a world leading authority on natural healthcare. That's where it has, well, you roll your eyes, but it's true. I mean, anybody who is interested in real science, they know about GreenMed Info, and they refer to it, and they go to it, and they learn from it, and the writings and the articles that are on there are fact-based, not just they're not just made up stuff on how you feel that day. It's based on science. It's based on the National Library of Medicine. I mean, we have, what is there, 70,000, 75,000 indexed articles? Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that, interestingly, initially I had named the site Patient Heal Thyself, which looked a little bit like Patient Healthy Self. But the problem was, of course, Jordan Rubin had written that amazing book, Patient Heal Thyself. And I didn't want it to, it look like I was plagiarizing or infringe upon his advocacy. And now, of course, we know Jordan. He's a colleague. It's really amazing to have, been in that place, just kind of thinking about ways to get the word out. And then GreenMed Info made more sense. But as you were saying, the intention was, let's just get that information in one place, make it easy for people to find, so that when they're told, oh, natural medicine, it's quackery, it's voodoo, they could see, no, actually, wow, there's actually tons of research on this. But as you know, it became heavily politicized to hold a view that you have something called natural immunity, or the body can heal itself. And as a chiropractor, of course, you've dealt with, waves and decades of attempts to, hunt you guys down and burn you at the stake. So, and look at chiropractic now. I mean, there's so many good chiropractors that are holding, this vision of the body being able to heal itself in face of, really very few conventional folks being willing to say that. It's really incredible. So, but that story is really interesting, because when we met, it definitely accelerated my own growth. And then, of course, I wrote the book with our two colleagues, Dr. Ben Lerner and Dr. Charles Majors, the Cancer Killers book. And that was a great exercise in taking the research and putting into very clear understanding. Like, for example, Ben Lerner came up with this genius phrase that, you don't get sick from cancer. You get cancer because you're already sick. It's just it's more of an expression of your innate sickness. And when you're in the biomedical world and you're, using these 25-cent words and trying to, understand the science, you forget that some people just need really basic, simple ways of understanding things. And I know you've always helped me with that. And ultimately, that's kind of what this is all about now. It's like we have an overwhelming amount of information on both sides. And it's really more about connecting with your tribe. And right. That's, the medicine is the connection. I just presented yesterday at the International Medicine Conference. It was virtual. And that was my title of my talk, is We Are the Medicine. Just you're a family member, but eventually we're going to be at least helping to establish this new world that we want to live in. I mean, I do feel like we're on the precipice of what is really a mass awakening. And, all the QAnon rhetoric and that psyop aside, it's really true that if you look at before, let's say even GMI Connect was here and this project, there was maybe 1% of the population that truly understood the agenda, that has, tried to equate health with injecting people with experimental gene therapy / metals. There was such a small percentage. I'd say 25 or more % of the world's population is now seriously seeing through the veil of this agenda. I mean, they couldn't have done a better job in waking up the world than, all the psychedelics on the planet, for instance. I mean, it's just amazing what they've done. So ultimately, I'm really happy and grateful. And Joelle, part of why we're doing this celebration is because, this was a difficult place to get here. I think many of you listening have had a lot of challenges, relationships, with jobs, with obviously this agenda. And I think we all deserve some time to celebrate because we survived, which actually technically etymologically means more than live. It means to more than live. We're thriving despite the fact that they tried to bury us. That's still the best metaphor of what's going on, right? We're like seeds, yeah, throw the dirt on top of us, strawberries. We're just going to come back and sprout up and be stronger than ever. In fact, the original logo and motto for Greenman Info, and it was Patient Heal Thyself, was where the evidence is sprouting up. And I drew this little sprout coming through the ground. So actually, oh man, I should have taken that and brought that in to show people like that ultimately that's what we're all about here. So anyone on this live stream, listen, just so you know, the functionality that we have here right now, it's only getting better. There is a chat functionality that is already available on the channel, and we're working on having that roll out between users. You already have an inbox where you can go follow different users and you can message them. But this is just the beginning of the community functions that are going to be rolled out. But, in the meantime, feel free to make comments, ask questions, celebrate with us. This is the beginning. It took a huge amount of effort to get to this point, and you guys were part of it. I can't tell you how grateful Joelle and I are for the just sheer number of supporters we have at this point. I mean, it's pretty remarkable when you think how many people are willing through their sort of micro support with memberships to have built this together. And by the way, as you've noticed, this is not just Greenman Info's, arc. This is could be used by the world. Okay, so there are people that have extremely impactful businesses, advocacies that they don't want to be censored. They're going to be taken out, if they say certain things, like the truth. So that's why we have built this. It's not just for us. This is just the beginning. And, so, you're part of, I think, history ultimately. And it's not like we're the only ones. We don't want to be. We want lots of parallel structures so that when you decentralize access to information, to conversation, to connection, and take it off that big tech stack, you have produced an incredibly resilient, biodiverse system. And that's what we're really creating here. Only we're using technology to do that, which is actually quite exciting.
It is, yeah. And I just want to add a few things to what you said earlier, like creating community connection is the answer to healing. That's where it happens. And that's the purpose of why we're doing this, is to be able to connect with our tribe, connect with like-minded people. Just like when I first moved here, I connected immediately with Sarah because we were on the same wavelength and we were thinking the exact same way. And it was actually mind-blowing. Our first sit down conversation was mind-blowing. I'm like, this guy understands what I understand. And it's so rare to see that. And we feel like we have thousands of people around the world, tens of thousands of people who think like this, but we have to find each other to help each other. What I noticed going through the last 2 years of masking and lockdown, and we did none of that in my office here. But I felt like what we did is we strengthened our community physically. When people would come in, they're like, I like coming here because I just feel like it's like family because you're of like mind. I don't want to wear a mask either. I don't want to be locked down. I want to feel normal and all this kind of stuff. I don't buy into the rhetoric. So we're creating that same environment here. And what's interesting is what the science shows is the key to longevity, the key to living a long, healthy life is not whether you're eating gluten-free or not, or it's not whether how many vegetables you're eating or how much cacao you're drinking or the type of water that you're drinking or whatever. The number one cause of longevity in centenarians is community, is having a social network that supports you when you need it, or that you could lean on when you need it. And so now more than ever, community is the key. By the way, the second what they found, and they studied centenarians in the blue zones around the world. And so that was the number one finding, was that community equals longevity. So that's so important. Like, even if somebody had a stroke, for example, and if they went and just took medications, did exercises like the rehab at the PT and stuff like that, but didn't reintegrate themselves with their friends, their life expectancy decreased significantly. It decreased even compared to people who took no medications, who didn't do the exercises, but who reintegrated themselves with their friends. Those people did the best out of everybody studied.
Wow.
Right. And it's because they were with people. And when you're with people, whether it's virtually, I'm sure physically is the best, but when you're in different corners around the world, right? We're not even in the same city, right? Sayer and I, but when we communicate this way, we can see each other, we can see the expression, we can feel the expression, different than a text message, different than an article that you're reading. Those are all good, right? But this is even better when we can see and connect with each other. What it does is it releases good chemicals in your body, dopamine, which allows you to feel good. Dopamine allows you to feel good, feel motivated. It's also like a pain suppressant, right? So you get all these benefits when you're integrated into a community. By the way, the second cause of longevity, what they found, is having a couple of close friends that you can trust. Right. So whether that's you need a place to stay one night, you know that you could lean on them. You need to borrow a few dollars at one point. That type of friendship where it's like, yeah, I got your back. Don't worry about it. Right. And so interestingly enough, that's the key to longevity. And so if we're Green Med Info, if we're about health and well-being and the science of natural healing, we have to then be about community, because that's what the science shows us. Right. And so I feel like it's just beautiful to have that, even that understanding that trumps, whether you were a smoker 30 years ago or not, your sense of community trumps that in terms of your long-term health outcomes.
Yeah, it's profound. And, I think a big part of that message is around getting beyond just the physical layer of things, because when you're advocating for natural medicine and the science supporting it, you can get kind of locked into that materialistic viewpoint, right? That we're just primarily these bodies and we have to optimize and titrate just the right amount of certain things. And what I've come to understand, especially in the past 2 years, that's been really the unexpected gift of this whole pandemic is, and I'll be unapologetic about that term till the day I die, is that we're having a spiritual experience, whether we know it or not, and that ultimately it's inspiration that is the true, prana or essence or nutrition that I need to stay alive and to be a good father and to continue to grow as a person. And I can tell you that this year I have been so infused with inspiration and hope about what is possible that I'm convinced that's going to be our super power and our best weapon against what is also still a pretty scary reality out there. I mean, you guys who are on here, I have to just give you credit, because if you are a subscriber to Green Med Info and you don't get little shocks of anxiety constantly when you get in the inbox the latest announcement that the dark, Death Star of the World Health Organization is about to take over the world, right? Which is kind of what they're trying to do with this pandemic treaty. If you're not getting that shock, then you're probably not actually looking at the inbox with our emails, which is fine too. But the point is it takes a certain type of strong, resilient person to even be willing to, accept the truth of what's happening. At the same time, knowing that our real job is to stay with equanimity, self-love, humility, like all the things that sound like spiritual values to me are essential to navigating this experience and getting us through it. And obviously, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a picture of my girls right here.
Cute.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. Are they the cheeks? And that's a nice thing too, by the way, guys. I'm in a community now. We're in a walled garden. I would never show my children in public, honestly, because I feel that, I want to take care of them and be private. But the reality is that we have our own walled garden now. And it's better to have smaller groups of people that are here because they want to be, that share our values. Because to me, it's like the butterfly effect, right? Like this concept that a little butterfly in the Gulf of Mexico has enough impact on the entire, interwoven, existence to potentially spin off of a hurricane, is that all of us together, if we're in resonance and we know, like you said, if you have a couple good friends and you know that you have someone that has your back and can see you, you're going to act very differently in the world. So this is one reason why, again, we're doing this and excited. But I think you're going to find there's going to be less. Well, I'll give you plenty of information on the hacks that I do. Like Joel.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, Joel was here the other day, and we're like, he's like, you should just film you doing this smoothie that you're putting together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you were taking some supplements, and as he's taking them, he's describing the science behind each one, how it works in the body, and the articles that, like, all from the top of his head as he's taking the different stuff. And I'm like, this is what people want, but realistically, Sayer has been very very strong in guarding GreenMed info, because people ask all the time, what should I take for this? What should I take for that? What should I take for that? And you never wanted it to be like a supplement sales thing. So when Sayer recommends a product or supports one, or it's on the site, like, hey, this turmeric is good and it's approved by him, it is excellent, because it can't just be average. It has to be beyond average. And by the way, I mean, you worked with in the supplement industry for years. The owners of the companies, the intricacies of the excipients they use or don't use, where the ingredients come from. So it's pretty fascinating to like pick his brain. And I feel like my job here is just going to be to like push him to like give us a little pieces of and glimpses into that, because it is literally fascinating. I'm like, we should record this right here. This is what the world wants to see and needs to see too.
I appreciate that, because like literally the cacao I'm drinking, this is my celebration. I don't usually do this, right? Some people have scotch or champagnes. I just have my cacao. It's Santa Barbara Cacao Company, because they have independent validation that there aren't heavy metals. Like, so much of the cacao does have heavy metals, and last thing you want to do is consume that. So yeah. So either way, yes, I want to reveal more about what I do. Like, I am 49. I have young girls, I want to live very old, and I want to know my grandchildren and their children, theoretically. So my task is not just, live this like new spiritual life, but to make sure that I'm really learning how to take good care of myself and to regenerate. Like, that's literally, when I wrote my book, I did not anticipate the launch would happen at the moment, first time in history, when all the world's bookstores were literally closed. It was just such a symbolic moment, And it still did really well because of the virtual online stuff. But I was like, that is so ironic but like the seeds they tried to bury, like regenerate, like the whole concept, it was that I was going to retire from my advocacy of over a decade of like staring the dark super vaccine agenda in the face and saying, you guys need to stop trying to kill everyone, and just like stop getting attacked, because the World Health Organization called me out in 2012. So I'm not new to this, right? But I couldn't do that, because then the pandemic happened and we were all in it. And then on some level it was vindicating for all the people that were out there for so long saying, hey guys, there's this like massive dark, cloud here. Let's do something about it. But I'm ready now. That's what you and I were talking about, Joel. We're ready. And the timing of this is so perfect, because now we have a platform that is not dependent on all those powers that we've seen are woven into the media, into the government, into the corporations, that can shut anyone down at any minute. They can demonetize you. Not only can they shut you down, they can target their international media monster and claim that you're killing people, and all the way up to the mouthpiece of the president of the United States and all the CEOs of all the major tech companies gets to attack people like me personally because someone decided that they don't like me or this advocacy. That's how powerful that system is. Well, guess what? If we're not using their junk and we have our own, which you guys helped create, well, then guess what? We don't have to worry about it. So that's what this is really about. It's a way of producing the soil to grow this new beautiful earth that I've seen the visions of it. Guys, this is real. Like literally go visit Kauai, right? And tell me that the new earth doesn't exist. Whatever's happening there, because we had Doug Wolken on recently from Kauai Pharmacy, and we'll have a lot of these awesome guests. That can be done anywhere. Like you can go to Miami, you go down to some agricultural region there, dead, scarified land, and 2 years later you can turn into jungle. Like we can be regenerating the biosphere. So that's a big part of the kind of thing that Joelle and I want to bring into this project is you know, a larger vision about how we can create this beautiful world together. So many great people in these comments, so much positivity. It's
Yeah,
so
and
good.
don't be afraid to share, like
Yeah.
for the people watching, don't be afraid to share also what you'd like to hear from Sayer, so that we can bring that to you as well. I mean, how it's going to work is if we do a live, um, you know, some of the lives will be open to the public, but as soon as they're done, it's going to just be on GMI Connect. Some of the lives, like this one, for example, will be for members only on GMI Connect, and that those will be obviously more personal, like Sayer showing pictures of his children, for example, but also going through his cupboards.
I'll have them on maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll learn who's the real boss in my life. It's my two girls, basically.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Thank God they're very grounding, and they know their dad.
Yeah, and I think monthly at least, you know, we'll jump on and do pieces of like regeneration in real life. Like, what does real life regeneration look and feel like? And give you tips to be able to work towards health, life, and vitality and longevity, which is what we want them to communicate. So don't be afraid to share your ideas as well, so that we know we can be, you know, serving you to the best of the ability that you feel that you need as well. Because this is a community, so it's a two-way, three-way, four-way conversation happening.
Exactly. We'll be doing polls. You know, there are lots of things we're going to be asking you to share. What is most important to you moving forward? You know, and there's questions. You know, we have a few questions, so we'll just, you know, Canara here from Norway, which is, I just love that. You know, we live in this time where like little electrons are serving us. Like we can just instantaneously pop up into each other's lives. You know, tell me that's not a quantum. We're not in a quantum era right now. This is, I just became a member. Did anyone find an antidote remedy for the injections? You know, these are good questions, you know, because how many billions of people now have received these experimental interventions? That's not an easy one to answer, but there is something I'll show you. My goodness,
we're going to be here all night. This is amazing.
I know. I've got a whole.
I'm already having fun. Yeah.
Oh man. So this is called Sacred Body by my dear friend Katie Hess, and she's from Lotus Way. And this flower remedy was harvested by her. And while, you know, I wouldn't go out and say this to the world, I can tell you that the intention behind it was to address what's happening with these injections. And I intend to have her on to actually interview her. I just reached out to her about this. She's the most beautiful soul. She's like a human flower, and she goes off into serendipity land in the wild, and she finds the most exotic flowers, connects with them, and gets the download of what their energy is supposed to do for us. And so, you know, it sounds a little bit airy fairy, but I can tell you that when it comes to these injections, because they are, I hate to say it, transmogrifying. I mean, they're literally genetically modifying us and also producing a means for some cells to continue to produce this GMO antigen. It's really, you couldn't make this stuff up really. Like it's so almost science fiction, but it's being done and very few people seem to be having problems with it. I mean, ultimately, I mean, how many billions have they rolled out? So there's, you can't really change that fact. Like once you're injected, it's intended to make your body continue to produce this antigen. But that's when I believe you have to call upon a higher power. You literally have to start connecting to a spiritual template that we all have. We all have this perfect template for health. And I know, Joelle, you can speak to this, and I'd like you too, from the perspective of maybe Palmer's higher vision. removing the interference. First of all, of course, after that, you get clear of any exposure that is not 100% natural, and you just have confidence your body's going to reset. But maybe you could speak to like the fundamental premise around healing and interference.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is there's a saying that we have that's the body needs no help, just no interference, right? So as long as you and the interference comes in basic forms: thoughts, mental, emotional stress, traumas, and toxins, right? And thoughts could be like traumas of old that can be healed, but they can also be negative thoughts or stressful work or stressful relationships. Traumas could be physical stress, and then toxins are obviously what we're talking about here, is like vaccines. Like luckily, I'm so thankful that my parents had an inkling to this and knew about this and never vaccinated us, and my children aren't vaccinated. And it's such a difference. It's incredible, the difference between unvaccinated children versus vaccinated children. But the good news is I've been able to see very sick vaccinated children heal completely. Right now, that takes time and a little bit of focus, but ultimately what you want to do is let the innate wisdom of the body express itself. And the innate wisdom of the body, the innate intelligence within the body is all knowing. It is like 100%. And so if you can allow it to express itself, health will ensue, right? But that means you have to be careful with, are you eating real food or not, right? Are you having good, healthy thoughts or not? Are you putting products on your skin that toxify you or not, right? So yeah, and if there are poisons that have entered the body, then do your very best to detoxify from those. But your body has the natural detoxification systems. So as long as you're supporting them healthfully, then it will. So I've seen all types of disease completely reverse because of that innate wisdom of the body. It's not because of a vitamin. The vitamin doesn't have that to the extent that the body does. The body has the innate wisdom, right? And so, yeah, so that flower essence will help, but ultimately just the understanding and knowing that the wisdom is there, and knowing that you're taking steps to unlock it and to allow it to do its work and detoxify, just that in and of itself trumps anything else that you can do, right?
Yes.
So I feel like that's an important concept, is just understanding, knowing the power, the healing, regenerative power of the body without any interventions even. Because if you cut your hand, it's in days it's going to scab over and heal. You didn't need to put a Band-Aid on it. You didn't need to put anything on it. You didn't have to rub any medicine on it. You didn't have to rub any vitamins on it. You didn't have to do anything. That wisdom of the body knew exactly what was necessary to heal the scar on the hand, just like it does with any and every disease out there, right? So, but the idea is, of course, to like support, to nurture, to like really take care of that wisdom. So which means don't insult it by injecting and medications and stuff like that. So, and it's amazing at how healthy people can get, regardless of the amount of damage they've done in the past. And their bodies regenerate. I mean, it's 5 days to have a new stomach. It happens literally in a very short period of time. And different organs take different amounts of times, but you can completely regenerate. But first is to have that mentality. That's first and foremost.
Totally. Yeah. In that presentation I did at the International Medicine Conference, I did a couple slides. One was a Shaolin monk that's being suspended with like 4 sharp spears, just bare chested, just like practically levitating, to show people that, triple helix collagen is what gives the cell membrane the tensile strength of steel. So to consider that, and if your cells are healthy, then they are practically superhuman. And that's, again, why allopathy is such an effective means of brainwashing because they make you think, for example, that these little invisible particles are the reason why you get sick, not because your cells have been exposed to a lifetime of, chemicals or non-native EMF, etc. So it's a way of distracting from the obvious causes of disease, often for political reasons, covering up for chemical industries or the telecommunications industries or the nuclear, and blaming the victim, saying, no, actually the cells are sick because of these gene sequences you inherited from distant ancestors. So the whole model is based upon disavowing responsibility from the true causes. And what ultimately is true when you go down that sort of biophysical rabbit hole of, quantum biology, basically, we're talking about, it's a trip. Like, you start realizing that your body is basically hinged on immortality, for one, because you have a cell line that goes back to at least 3.4 billion years of ceaseless replication. And then that came from likely panspermia, meaning that there was some type of living thing that came to the planet from another place. So when you really go down that rabbit hole, you're like, oh my God, like our body has this immortality embedded in it. So in other words, we're super, super resilient, and we can come back from pretty much anything. It's just that people don't believe that's true. And so that's also the main advocacy I know of Maximized Living, Dr. Joelle Bohemia, that you have educated for so long, is mindset is critical, right? You have to believe
Absolutely.
you're going to, yeah. So inspiration, again, if we're not inspired, if we don't believe in ourselves or each other, we don't have that connection, health, it becomes almost secondary, and it's not going to be easy to sustain. But if we do, then miracles can literally happen. And that's what I'm most interested in and most excited about.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're raised in a fear-based medicine cabinet where you're always afraid that your genes are causing disease. You're afraid that you're going to catch something and it's going to kill you. You're afraid of germs and bacteria, and it's fear-based. But ultimately, the way our body is made, as you were just saying, it's faith-based. Like you're saying, you have to believe. That's the number one thing, is to have the mindset. I say the same thing, is to have that mindset, is to have faith in your body's ability to heal and regenerate and be well and be vital. I mean, you have an infinite, people don't know this, they have an infinite amount of energy that their bodies create. There's like the equivalent, like you say, the equivalent of like little mini nuclear reactors in every cell, hundreds of them in every cell. And so you literally you have unlimited energy, but people are like, oh no, I'm too tired, or I don't have the energy for that. And that's what they think, and that's their mindset. And so that's what happens. Yeah. Right. So it's very, very important to have the right mindset. And I think that's part of what we're going to be able to bring to people, is to like break the medicine cabinet thinking, the fear-based thinking. And we're going to break that in people, hopefully, to get them into a faith-based mindset of understanding that, no, I'm doing great things for my body. My body is self-healing. It's self-regenerating. And I'm supporting that innate wisdom within the body. That's a totally different way of living. Completely different.
I mean, if you think about it, fear versus gratitude. I mean, if you have a state of gratitude or a perspective of gratitude, it's very difficult to also feel fear at the same moment. And so you can toggle between the two, right? If you don't believe in your body, you think it's going to break down, versus having faith that it's going to, for example, people are so afraid of symptoms. They have equated.
I love talking about it. I'm so happy you're talking about this, right? Because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's equated. Yeah. They've been equated with the devil, literally. So in other words, the enemy is a symptom. Let's say it's a little fever. You have 101 or 2. Oh my God, stop the plane. Declare the next international pandemic and lock the world down. Literally, that's literally the way it's set up now. When in fact, the fever is the means by which your body actually heals itself. There's so many ways you could look at that. Let's say it's a fever and your body needs to get out all that toxicity that accumulated, right? That it can't get out other than liquefying the easy water, which is how ultimately it excludes the solutes, which include all the poisons you accumulate. So technically a fever or higher temperature is a way for you to detoxify. Now, if you're someone who runs regularly, uses a sauna, your bowels are functioning, you're breathing out toxins naturally, then guess what? You don't need to have the seasonal cold and flu. It's not because little particles are jumping around and hitting people and you're just a victim and you need the 20th vaccine that season to prevent it, right? It's because you're already sick. And by the way, being sick is the way that you get healthy. It's part of the whole process. So
yeah, it's almost sick as a psyop. I feel like it's a total
yes,
psyop because it's not. It's actually your body regenerating. It's the opposite of what you've been taught. Your body is regenerating when it has a
yes,
fever. So you're expressing symptoms, yes, but it doesn't mean you're sick. It means actually you're getting better. You're getting better than you were before, right? So yeah, we're taught to, like you said, fear that, and then we medicate or we vitamin or whatever because we're afraid of the fever. How many of us are thankful and in a state of gratitude when we have a fever? Oh yes, I'm going to be stronger tomorrow. This is good. So the idea is to, well, support the fever and all that stuff that we don't have to get into now, but it's so different. It's diametrically opposed to how people are taught to raise their children.
totally.
Right. So now we have kids that are afraid of fevers, and now we have kids growing up, thinking masks are a good idea. I was literally taking care of a 11-year-old girl recently. This is in Florida, right? And she came in wearing a mask and her family wasn't. And I said, how come you're still wearing a mask? Right. And she didn't look at me in the eyes. And her parents were like, yes, like keep asking her, and so I just leaned down and I said, oh, how come you're not? And she goes, because I'm afraid. And I said, yeah, there's an 11-year-old girl, and she started crying. She's like, I'm afraid of dying.
Wow.
That's literally what she said. She was healthy. She had no issues.
Wow.
She's in for a wellness chiropractic adjustment. So, it's like she's already doing great things for her body. Wow. And she's literally crying. So just think of the mentality. It's like we've gone back hundreds of years now. Not the people here, obviously, in this community, because we're of like mind, but the rest of the world is like that. It's very interesting to see this like mind screwing that's happening with the people. It's
absolutely,
it's sad, but it's inspiring because it just took one little conversation, and she took her mask off. And then she said, I didn't wear my mask. She came back the following week and said, I didn't wear my mask at school ever since we talked. And she was so proud of herself. So it takes just a little bit, just a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so beautiful.
To get people to kind of wake up or see or whatever, see a little different perspective or whatever.
Wow. Well, that's beautiful. That's a great example. It was actually the connection you had with her and her trust in you that enabled her to kind of come into alignment, with this highly irrational, behavior. Yeah.
So totally.
That is the key. So, ultimately, there's a lot of health related stuff we can talk about. We will, but we want you to know that a lot of what we'll be focusing on is going to be about topics that are exciting to us. Like, for example, I'm on this like intellectual journey around understanding the megaliths around the world at the sacred sites. And like, to me, that is so exciting because when you start getting into the body of the earth and the healing of the earth and energy, it just opens up your horizons tremendously, because we've been all living these little boxes. We are forgetting about all the mysteries of ancient cultures that had all this wisdom that we can't even conceive of reproducing. I mean, how did they basically levitate 1,500-ton blocks of perfectly mitered stone? Like, throughout the world, you'll find.
I saw that, by the way. When I was in Egypt, we went to this site where it was the oldest road in the world. It was petrified wood that they used.
Wow.
It was incredible from the petrified forest. And but on our way there, we stopped at this, what used to be a mine that was thousands and thousands of years old. So there was a big kind of dugout in the earth. It was huge. And he said, I want you to notice something. These cuts were made like 5,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago. And it was basalt. That was the stone. So it was like the dark stone that you can see on the moon. That's basalt rock.
Wow.
And you look at these cuts and they were ginormous, like bigger than 2-story homes, like cuts. And they were like cut with laser precision
Yeah.
5,000 or 6,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I asked the guy, he was incredible, but I'm like, how did they cut? He goes, you notice that? You see how sharp that's cut? He goes, we have no idea how that was cut. But it wasn't done with the machines that we think they had or didn't have back then, because it's like super smooth laser light precision. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. No, that's what I want to talk about. Like moving forward is this area helps to reveal how we are in the dark ages. Now, when you look at our medical model and what we're doing now, it's about as dark the dark ages that you can get to. But people don't think about that because we have these amazing technologies like what we're doing now. But there were ancient technologies that I've started to explore that, I don't know, I'm going to be bringing on some really interesting guests that I think you're going to appreciate. Because when you start getting into why would it be that around the world there are all these ancient ruins, if you will, some of them are not ruins, they're still in perfect shape. What pre-existing civilization was capable of doing that? How many hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions, were humans at a very advanced state of evolution, not just technologically, but we're talking about spiritually? Because there are anomalies that I've been tracking for some time. We don't have to just look at Shaolin monks like running up walls. I'm talking about like bending things with your mind. Like that, to me, if people understood the power that humans actually wield, then they'll start understanding why we have an entire global educational apparatus designed to suppress and minimize and belittle those powers in humanity, because then we all believe that we are pretty much helpless and have to follow these agendas off the cliff like lemmings. Like, so what I'm trying to do is, for my own personal passion and interest, is to go back into these questions, and it starts to really open up not just the mysteries of the earth, but I'm talking about the galaxy. We're just one galaxy among inconceivably vast numbers of galaxies. When we start to think about that cosmic context and we start to understand precessional cycles, for example, the fact that there's this great year of about 25,000 years and that we are starting to turn towards what you might call a new golden age, that stuff starts to get me super excited, because I think that in that context, even what's happened with the quote pandemic and the Great Reset and all these desperate death throw attempts to basically, shutter people in their homes and turn them into little AI robots, starts to make sense, because the old system is dying and they're desperate. And so that's the kind of stuff that I'm very excited to be focused on moving forward. Not that we won't talk about turmeric and healing. We'll be doing lots of that as well. But I want you guys to strap in and get ready for quite an adventure, because it's just beginning. And on top of it, you'll see on Be Sovereign, there's already some channels with some pretty interesting information. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to be attracting a lot of people that, like, share the values of caring about our body, caring about our planet, caring about each other, working on ourselves. This is the ethos of your tribe, which is all around you right now.
Yeah, and I'd say, I don't want to counter that. But to counter that is what we've learned in the last 2 years is that the real answer and solution is self-healing. It's like accessing self-healing, and then none of that interplay of whatever the government or the CDC or WHO, whoever wants to tell you, big pharma, none of that matters to you anymore, because you're grounded in the innate ability to self-heal. Yes. Right? And that kind of breaks the context of whatever the narrative is, and it breaks the back of it relatively easier. Yes. That said, here's what's interesting, and this is who I believe is on the live stream, who will be part of our community. Yeah. But in world, when Hitler invaded London, specifically England, they called it the Blitz, where the German bombers would come in and just like drop a ton of bombs to destroy the whole of London. It was something like 43,000 people died in a short period of time, and there was hundreds of thousands of bombs that were dropped. And what people of that time recounted was that, initially they were afraid, and initially they were scared, and they'd go into bunkers and stuff like that. But after day 3 or 4, people were just going about their regular business. And if the sirens would go off, some would go in bunkers and some wouldn't. And I share that to say that what the Germans' plan was to destroy the human spirit.
Wow.
And what happened was the exact opposite, is that the human spirit had such resolve and it became stronger. And so then they basically, the mindset of the Londoners was like, oh, bring it on. We're winning this war regardless. So bring it on. Bomb all you want. We're going to win. And eventually that's what happened. So I share that because like the human spirit is so resilient and so strong. And I believe that, we've come through this 2 years of like trying to demoralize people and trying to dehumanize people and separate us and keep us afraid of each other and thinking that invisible particles are going to take us down and all that kind of craziness that's gone on. Yeah. But the people here know the strength of the human spirit, because regardless of that, we've been able to like not just navigate that, but thrive through that. And just because and through that, we've given birth basically to this new platform where we could all interact, ask questions, and grow stronger and grow better and healthier and live longer and better lives together. It's freaking amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So it's like such an affirmation that when this pandemic button was pushed, it was because it was like the nuclear option. They were so desperate. People were starting to wake up. They were starting to get empowered. And unfortunately, that tactic doesn't work. I mean, we're only in a better place now. We have more tools at our disposal. More people are aware of what's going on. I mean, look at crypto. I cannot wait to share more about what I have learned about crypto so that you guys can hopefully benefit from what's about to drop, which is, of course, the dollar. Look around you. There's no more hiding hyperinflation, as far as I can see. I mean, and that's good because, ultimately we need gas prices to go up theoretically for people to realize that free energy actually is a thing, that you can't put a meter on free energy, which is why it's been pretty much eradicated from history books. The work of Tesla and all the thousands of scientists that have actually discovered technologies that fall within that category. Well, we won't reveal too much, but Joelle and I have been working on something that you are going to be really excited to hear about. And if you want a hint, then go check out Foster Gamble's work with Thrive and Thrive On. You'll see that there are a lot of folks working on bringing out technology that's literally going to render the entire multi-trillion-dollar death, war, terrorism-based infrastructure of this planet obsolete. And it's part of why crypto is so exciting, is that this is, the petrodollar is fundamentally still running the world, although there's indication that the OPEC nations might take the yuan, right, which is going to be the digital yuan. This has all been architected, okay? This thing with Russia is not unrelated to what's happening with China, okay? They're working very closely together. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just reality. And so we want to help prepare you for what is coming because we're doing it ourselves. We have to. We've all seen that this is real. This isn't academic and tinfoil hat or not. It's not prospective or theoretical. This stuff has real implications. Like what we come to learn together is going to inform our actions. And by doing things consciously, I know that we can navigate these treacherous waters and come out in a very beautiful place. It's so cool to see all the comments, Joelle, when we mentioned like new technology and like Atlantis. People are like excited for the adventure. I'm telling you, we're going to be doing like adventures, including probably retreats in some pretty amazing places. So you guys, I mean, get ready to get board a plane and come visit.
I've been pushing Sarah to do a Regenerate seminar that he puts on. That's been months and months. But so if you could all, ask him for that, that'd be great.
I know this is great because I have a colleague that has just invited me/you to do a retreat, Regenerate retreat in Mexico. So I haven't told you about this yet, Joelle. We'll have to run this by you, but I'll tell you, it's exciting. If we can plug ourselves into a beautiful power grid off the earth, with all those beautiful supportive, the food and the beauty of the elements. I mean, that's what it's all about. And then connecting with our tribe, it's really powerful. So ultimately, I think that mission's accomplished in terms of sharing with you some of the inspiration that we have about the next steps. And this is just sort of the celebration of like, okay, Joel and I and others you don't know, some of you do, you will meet them eventually, have been just running this marathon behind the scenes, you know. You know, you got Homeland Security Bolton, you're now a terrorist, stomp. And we're like, you know, like the little mice like around the dinosaurs while they're getting extinct. We're just like, you know, juking, and, you know, like deep state comes in, shut down your website. Oh, come on, reboot. You know, we're like fighting a war here, but we're enjoying it because on some level we know it's just kind of like theater, you know, and because this is, you know, this is an illusion. Okay, we are all one. Everything is love. I do know that's true. So, but the reality is that you guys haven't seen everything that's been going on behind the scenes. And now it's like we can just exhale for a few minutes and celebrate together. And then you guys hopefully will be there with us to grow this into something extremely beautiful that you'll be proud to say you were a founding member. It's like being a founding father of the Constitution.
Come on.
Getting a little megalomaniacal here, but you know what I'm saying. Like this is good. We've really created something that's, again, not just about Greenman Info. This is available to the world. You guys yourselves, when we roll this out, will have the option of creating your own membership like this on the platform. Like you may have a tribe, you may have a business or community, and that's what this is about, because ultimately the Klaus Schwabs of the world that want you to own nothing, that want their fourth industrial revolution where we turn into robots, right? They're not thinking about what we're working on our end. We have the angelic version here where you get to monetize your own value, your own passions, create your own community, do your own thing, and not be dependent on their agenda. So that's ultimately what this is about for us as well.
Yeah, and that was a conversation we had. You know, we did it, you know, initially a little bit out of I don't want to say necessity, because we were talking about this even before the pandemic, about doing something like this. But when it hit and the censorship occurred, we're like, it just like kind of ignited us to move a little faster. And then at some point we were doing this, we're like, wait a minute, if this is good for us, this is good for the world. So let's make this available for the rest of the world too. Totally. And so, and, you know, of course, with our own criteria, you know, we don't want Amazon Web Services, you know, meddling in our affairs and able to like pull the plug on our site and stuff like that. So all of these things have been thought out.
Totally.
And so we're going to give you, I want to say, like the purest form of social media, of connecting with people, of if you want to do one-on-one consults with people or whatever the case is, the purest form of that without having other people peer into and record everything that you're doing in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So I think that'll be a beautiful, just a beautiful experience for people, a censorship-free area where we can share ideas and express them without being labeled and trying to, you know, be annihilated, virtually annihilated, you know?
I love it. I'm like listening for a moment. I'm like, oh my God, I want to buy this, Joe. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm the founder. I mean, literally, I'm like, this sounds great. I mean, that's how good it is, guys. Seriously, I'm sold. Yeah. Like, yes, we need this. Like, I don't know if it's clear to people. It was kind of a learning curve for me, but Amazon Web Services owns the universe of the internet. So 40% plus of all websites are hosted on Amazon Web Services, and they have all this technology that plugs into all these other sites, which then
all the other servers. Yeah,
exactly. So technically, you know, unless you own your own servers, you own your own technology IP, you cannot assure privacy. So we have gone to such a great length here that it's almost too much, because it's extremely expensive to do this kind of stuff. But that's why we're not in this alone. You guys have showed up. You have become members. We are working on this together. When we roll out this for businesses, you'll see, you know, there is going to be obviously a cost, but it's about as low as we could make it. And I think it's going to be pretty attractive relative to other competitors out there. So I think, and again, it does enable anyone to spy from you or take your data and then sell it or use it against you. Yeah,
that's right.
So that's what it's all about. It's beautiful, actually. I mean, I'm so excited. I mean, I see it almost like the flower of life pattern. It's like a fractal, because you'll meet Alex eventually, who created this technology. It's 5 years of development. That's a huge amount of time in this space. It's like literally a fractal. Like, you could create your own organization like we have, and then have an infinite number of creators underneath you. So it is set up to provide that substrate for the world. Whether or not people use it in that way, we'll see. But I don't know of another example of this anywhere, like that you could set up what is essentially an enterprise level business off of our own platform for what is fundamentally, I think, like a crazy affordable price. So, we're going to see how this works with everyone here. It's an experiment ongoing. But that's an interesting part of it, because I didn't want to talk much about the business aspects of what this provides people, because I'm, again, more interested in going into the jungles of Peru and finding some new megalith site and understanding how it relates to human origins and our future timelines. But we can talk about that as well, because we all have to live in this world and make a living. So yeah. So you guys excited? You guys are not only founding members, because we have a good number of them, and good Lord, the numbers of total members for Agreement Info are 8,500. That's a lot of people that are willing to energetically contribute to creating this new system that we want to be in. So, but you guys are the ones that are on this first live stream. So you're the founding members, and you should feel very proud and very excited that you are part of this history making event. So when you when we do launch some of these retreats and we get on for other events, and you leave your comment here tonight, we'll be reading them all. We'll take it really close to heart, as far as programming coming up and other things that we'll be doing. What do you think, Joel? Any more questions before we go, guys? Will you start a web hosting service for people like us? Well, that's a good question. That's not a bad idea, because as we scale and as we need to protect our own infrastructure, that would potentially become an option. And then also we work with projects like Cordal. When I say work with, I've been donating to them wherever I can, so that they can basically create the new internet that no one owns in a good way. And they have free web hosting now. It's for a small amount of storage, but the fact that they've done it means it can never be eradicated from the web. So just keep that in mind, folks. Yeah, I know, right? Not only are we creating this amazing thing that's centralized in the sense that, we are the ones running it, there is a decentralized project that is solving the problem of censorship forever. And if you get involved in that, and I've done numerous interviews, you can check them out on our channel, cordal.org, you will ultimately be able to run this new internet and benefit from it. Because if I was an investor of any crypto asset right now, outside of Bitcoin, probably, I think Cordal or Court is the one that is going to have the most increase in value over the next few years. So that's another one that there are many reasons why you might want to get involved in. Okay, that work. Cool. So yeah. So what do you say, Joel? Any closing remarks or topics?
Well, I just want to say thank you to the people here for being resilient. For this has taken a lot longer than we thought to launch, and thank you for being patient and resilient and of like mind. And I just hope that we can connect in a way that is meaningful to you, and bring you just very valuable, not just information, but practical stuff that you can use daily and that we're all doing together, because we are planning on doing stuff together at the same time all around the world. And just knowing that we're all doing it in it together, that we have like-minded, beautiful people that are here, humans that are being human, that are acting like humans and loving life together. And so I just want to thank you and just bless you for being here.
Beautiful. Amen. In fact, I heard a little rumor that maybe you and I might be doing another live stream in person on Friday.
That is true.
In a magical place, which is actually, there's known to be a vortex in that part of Florida, and the crystal sand is very unique.
That's right.
Yes, so that's
Absolutely.
another possibility. Since you're a GMI Connect member, you get to benefit obviously from all these special experiences we're creating for you and ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's so cool. Like, I'm so happy you guys are here. I am so excited that we are going to be able to finally share some things that I wouldn't probably put out there just in the public, you know, because I hold them dear, and you don't necessarily share everything to everyone, you know. So at this point, there's a lot of really good stuff happening in our lives, and I'm sure you feel the same. And I'm telling you, we are working on so many different parts of this platform that eventually you're going to be able to connect even more directly with one another. And we're thinking about all kinds of ways to facilitate that, so we can really work together as a community and you know, seed the new beautiful world that we all want to live in. So that's what it's all about. I honor you for being here and for being such great supporters, and for holding that higher frequency with us, because that's really what it's about. Not only do you get to enjoy being in a higher vibe, but you're giving that out to everyone who is in contact with you. And that is ultimately how we win, and how this world becomes just a living heaven.